As 27 years old, I'm not working and not attending college. I seriously need some advice or just basic guidelines so I can take the path to better my life. Yes, I'm not working at 27. I have nothing going on in my life. I seem to live in victimization and depression, I guess. Like anxiety, fear, shame, doubts are just few things to name that has been contributing factor. Deep down, all I want to really do is, I guess, go to college, get some education so that way I'm able to secure stable job and pay, also get a side job and overcome fear of driving so I can be fully independent on my own. I can go campus or even at a job. Because the place I live has no city transportation services. And me being scared to learn driving has hindered stunt growth, limiting job opportunities, and I also at same time don't have skills and networks to get a better job. I'm sick and tired of working this low-end jobs in retail and fast food. I already worked those because it was near my area and they didn't require any experience, so I was lucky enough to get it. But even with that, I only worked a couple of months. I just couldn't handle the shame and insecurities it came with. My family and outsiders always have something negative to say. Even the job I worked in fast food, they judged me saying, "You're young. You could do a lot better than this." Then I worked in retail overnight and I was told, "You have no life. Here you are working labor job, meanwhile your cousins are making $60,000 yearly fresh grads. And I'm constantly feeling demotivated because I can't fulfill their demands. Sorry, I'm not the bright, smart, capable kid you thought in your mind. I'm struggling as I have no guidance. I have no friends. I'm literally living in my home for last 3 years doing nothing. I even gave up community college because I don't know really what to study. Now I just feel like getting a certificate or 2 years degree. I did so many dumb things as a kid on the internet and I regret it now. Can anyone relate? I've had the internet for as long as I can remember. To cut a long story short, the internet was always my escape from the real world when I was a kid. My parents were abusive to each other. In elementary school, I was constantly bullied by teachers. I never imagined the consequences I would have now. I feel very advanced for my age. I feel like I've seen everything and now I have nothing to learn. I was groomed, cyberbullied. I had been catfished. I was the catfisher for a long time. I saw all the horrible things you could ever imagine seeing on the internet. The question in all this is, was it worth it? I mean, I had some good experiences too, so to speak. But the bad experiences stuck with me for a good time now. Being a catfisher didn't feel good, although I did it for 5 years. I remember this one time this kind of famous OnlyFans/Twitter creator was faking being a femboy for money, and me with a group of people on Telegram were exposing her, and she sent a probably false complaint threatening us all that she was going to take it to court. I swear my ass was terrified, but now that I think about it, it was a funny experience, but that could have ended very badly. Now, my journey through the internet continues and will continue for sure. But now I have many problems with anxiety that messes up with my life. For anyone wondering, I have been attending therapy for 4 years now and I had seen a change, luckily. Although I didn't still admitted my situation with the internet, I know confessing to a lot of unknown people on Reddit will be the correct thing. Of course. A friendship ended over a pair of earbuds my ex-friend left in my car. I told her I didn't have them. I did. I had a pretty toxic friendship that lasted from the 8th grade until around 11th to 12th grade. She was pretty controlling, put me down a lot, and basically treated me like crap the majority of the time. She had the ability to be a good friend here and there. We had common interests and we spent a lot of time together. I was desperate for a friend, so I took what I could get. She made it almost impossible to make other friends, when I even tried. Once we were together with possible new friends, she'd immediately put me down, make me out to be a needy friend, make me out to be the weird one, and those people were less interested in talking to me and more interested in talking to her. My world had to revolve around her, and I realized this once I started dating. I started dating a boy who's now my current husband of 5 years. She did not like him. He tried to get along with her. It didn't work out, so I told them to just stay away from each other. No big deal. I will admit, I did struggle with not neglecting one or the other relationship. I had an open conversation with her. She told me I wasn't talking to her as much, and I fixed it. She even admitted I had fixed the issue. I thought all was well. Turns out it was not. She told me she didn't like him. She didn't want to be anywhere near him because he was annoying. Why was he annoying? When they started interacting with each other again, he treated her the exact same way she treated me. With the shitty jokes, putting me down, etc. Obviously, yeah, she's not going to like him, but he did exactly to her what she did to me and she couldn't take it. He didn't like the way she was treating me, especially after I explained how I was treated when we were alone. We stopped being friends, but this was off and on. She'd want to make up, talk to me, whatever, and eventually we'd have a falling out over something stupid. He didn't like that we were friends, but he knew he couldn't tell me not to be. This wasn't some mischievous plan to get her away from me. Since she treated me that way, he thought she could handle similar jokes or treatment. Apparently not. He went to boot camp for 3 months. This was after high school graduation. I had my license, finally. I was late to everything. In college, had a car, and had a part-time job. She randomly messages me one day. We start talking again. I drove us around anywhere because she didn't have her license or a car yet. I'd even pay for us to eat together because that was just what I did. I liked doing nice things, and I believe she took advantage of that. She started going back to her original ways, talking down to me, and easing back into the bullying. I do want to say this before the end of this post. I wasn't a perfect friend. I don't want to make it sound like I'm such a victim. Poor me. I made the decision to stay friends with her for so long, giving her multiple chances instead of just being alone or finding someone else. That's on me. And I made plenty of mistakes in the friendship with apologies. I can't say the same for her. Anyways, during our last hangout, she left her earbuds in my car. I told her I thought I saw them in my floorboard, but I wasn't sure. In between getting them back to her, she really starts pushing it. I didn't want to deal with her anymore. Fuck her and her stupid earbuds. She offers to send a friend to come pick them up. I tell her I looked in my floorboard. What I thought were her earbuds was actually my charging cord for my phone. I didn't have her earbuds. She loses it on me. Blames me for her losing them because I'm a shitty driver. I slammed on the brakes, and she can't find them now. I did slam on the brakes one time. I don't know how many times I drove us anywhere. I slammed on the brakes one time. I get called a bunch of names and then I blocked her. She probably knows I had them this entire time. I don't really care. And no, they weren't these insanely expensive earbuds that'd be impossible to replace. I'm not that much of an asshole. And this happened years ago. I just found this sub and felt like confessing.
I'm thinking of moving back to my native country and showing up at my relative's home without warning. TW, CSA. Technically, I'm not showing up without warning, since I asked them before if I could stay with them till I get on my feet. But I was thinking about moving back without telling anyone, and either showing up on their doorstep or stopping at a hotel and letting them know I was abruptly in the country. I, 19F, have had a rocky relationship with my parents. Recently, I confirmed my dad essayed me at least since I was 12 and older. Before I got confirmation, I had some conversations with my parents about this specific thing. My mom was on my side, but she also left it up to me to decide what to do and said she couldn't kick him out. She also saw most of what was happening, including him watching me use the bathroom once and touching me, not on my privates, hundreds of times against my spoken wish to the point I'd even use threats and physical means to try to stop him. I was still on the fence about whether it was okay to be mad at them and cut off ties, because they were nice to me and did apologize and change a lot since I was younger. My mom would be sometimes upset with me if I ignored dad, and she would make excuses for him like he hadn't threatened to kick you out in months. So I wondered if I was overreacting, and it's still a bit hard to get over that lingering question in my head. But then, in the last 2 weeks, my parents insisted on interfering with my college admissions. They were consulting a legal defense team and wanted them to send a commendation-type letter to my college since I was having trouble with admissions. We had 4 conversations. Though I was unsure of whether I wanted to continue attending that college and what decision to make, I told my parents several times I didn't want the defense team to send the letter to my college. Well, a few days back, I received an email from my college advisor stating that they'd received the letter from the defense team. I had just told my parents the day prior that I didn't want them authorizing the team to send the letter. Unless the team sent the letter on their own, which would be stupid and probably be grounds to sue, my parents authorized them against my will. I apologized to my advisor and told them the truth of what happened. The irony is that Mom had applied for the college on my behalf without telling me till after. Because of these recent events, going against my direction and the confirmation of the essay, I don't want them to know that I'm planning and hoping to move back to my native country within a few weeks. I've been saving for months, and I have a safety net in the form of my relatives. But, if I tell my relatives in advance, I'm worried my parents would hear about it and sabotage it. My mom was really upset when I talked about moving away in the past. But also, I don't want to be rude to my relatives and just show up. I feel extra bad, because my uncle has had many strokes due to stress, and having me there will stress my uncle and aunt because they take a lot of tension over stuff. And I have friends here. I don't want to just leave abruptly and look like I did something wrong. I don't have a strong case, and I don't want to stick around long enough to gamble on whether I'd win in court. I need to get out. I don't want to live here anymore. I don't know if I can rely on any of the older adults around me, and I can't tell my relatives till I'm out, or they might want me to talk it out with my parents and see if there's a misunderstanding or something that can be resolved. I've already talked to my parents about this, even to Dad's face, and my mom suggested a 3-day at a time trial to get Dad used to not touching me. I have recordings of some of these conversations. Recently, I've taken to recording and writing a list of stuff that happens so that I can keep track and have evidence. I don't know what to do about that communication though. I'm wondering how I should go about informing my relatives without tipping off my parents. I might be able to take care of everything else. I'm also wondering if I should talk to an older woman, but I'm not sure I can trust/rely on her. Edit, I'm on a waiting list for counseling. I signed myself up at a shelter that provides this kind of stuff. I don't need shelter, I just need to figure out how to get out without getting in trouble with my parents. I don't have much money, so I can't afford to take risks. Something happened to me cause of 4 mans, and I'm thinking if it's real harassment or I'm just overreacting. I'll make it quick cause I almost feel annoyed and ashamed at the same time. I was probably 13-14 when it happened, and I had my lil brother on my side. We were both going back home, but I heard a conversation of 2 guys near me. At that time, I knew they were older, that's for sure, but I've always been the type to have a mouth. Later on defending others, especially after some bullying I had in middle school. I remember it and I really don't know why, but the first one was talking about me and the other said, she's not that bad anyway, she's just slut, something similar to that. I usually don't care and talk with guys, so I got pissed real quick and told him to shut up, taking my brother in my arms. Yet I regretted it cause they were older, and kept telling them to leave me alone when they started to follow me. Both were insulting me like childs while I am actually one. They continued trying to touch me, even pushing my back until it started to go too far. I got scared and even too I don't remember my brother's exact age at that time, he could talk and walk. But he didn't remark what they were trying to do, I was making jokes with him like they weren't behind me. And then I told him to go home, I know it's dumb. I should have kept him with me or whatever, but I have no actual reason to tell y'all why I did that. When he left, knowing where to go back home by himself, I turned towards the guys and tried to protect myself. And, yeah, seems that they know really good the neighborhood, so 2 other guys popped up. I got hella scared and I knew I was in danger. This time I started to just run as much as I could to reach my apartment, but they grabbed me. I'm trying to remember, or at least give as much information as I can remember, but I'm sorry, I don't want to write what they have done. I wasn't Purple Heart, so no worries, but I'm ashamed that they had done what I didn't want to and yet my body enjoyed it. Ugh. I was freezing in place, and before I could think, when I could finally even talk, I started screaming. It's like they understood what they were doing or whatever, but they stopped, I was in alert. I just started running again until I reached back home. They were waiting outside while I was looking through the kitchen window. And when I said to my dad, there's some guys that were following me. He just brushed it off and said that I was pretty and that's okay. His words reassured me until I was in the neighborhood and felt like I recognized one of them, then got scared and started running on the complete other side for no actual reason. I stopped when I was far and I'm sorry, even if it sound dumb, but I couldn't understand all of this. I think the denial is still there, that it's nothing and maybe my dad was right that day. I feel like I'm overreacting. I once walked out of a store with a box of wine without paying and I don't know why. For context. I had just moved to London, I was mentally not doing great and was living in this woman's basement as that's all I could afford. I was invited to a boat race drinks/picnic in my first few weeks of living there and thought a cheap box of shit rose was the best option for my bank and just convince. I picked this box and went to the self-checkout and for some reason it wasn't scanning. And usually I would ask someone to help and get it sorted. But in my hazy memory, no one was there to sort it and I still have no idea why, but I just picked up the box and left the store with it in hand. I remember walking to the door thinking, what am I doing, this is so stupid and I don't have any excuse if this goes south, but, surprisingly no alarms went off and as soon I left the store I realized I probably needed to power walk away in case it was a delayed response. I never got caught or reprimanded and I'm still so dumbfounded by this. I have never done something like this specifically. I did steal a few eyeliners in my teenage years and put ADP reduced stickers on me when I was struggling at uni, but never have I just picked up something so big and walked out the store. I'm a bit more comfortable now, so don't steal silly things anymore, but understand why people do. But I still wonder what the hell I was on and why I snapped at that point. I haven't told anyone because of how bizarre and stupid it is. Wine is not an essential need at the end of the day, but I do put my mental health declining very rapidly as a big factor, but also worried if I decline again I might walk out of a store with something even more random if I could.